Hi, my name is Dave. I'm your host. You're listening to The Last Podcast, where the first shall be last and the last shall be first. If this is your first time listening, welcome. I'm happy you found me, and if you're returning, welcome back. I really appreciate you listening, and I hope you continue to find tips, ideas, and value from listening to this podcast. Today, I want to have a conversation about something that honestly makes all the difference, I think, between giving up and pushing through, and it's grit and mental toughness. Now, I know you probably heard all these words probably pushed around, and you heard it a lot, but I want to see what makes, or why does it matter so much to have mental toughness and grit, and what exactly is all that stuff, right? So I'll begin talking about grit. And imagine you're like chasing a big long-term dream, right? And something that's going to take you time and effort and probably a few setbacks. Undoubtedly, it will be a few setbacks. Grit is that fire inside, to me, that you would probably have to keep you moving forward, even when things get hard or even when things get boring, because sometimes I know in my own personal life, things have gotten boring for me. I just probably drop it and leave it all together. And I used to be that way. It had to be something that would keep my interest, but I digress. So what is that grit? Some people call it passion, some people call it perseverance, long-term goals, or whatever the case may be. It's not about the talent or luck, I think. It's about showing up in a consistently manner, especially when it's tough. And I think that's what grit is, to me at least. Mental toughness, that's another beast altogether. And I think that's about more how you respond in the moment, especially when life throws you a curveball. And believe me, I know we all have been thrown curveballs, especially if you've been around for a while. It's your ability to stay cool under pressure, bounce back even after failure, or keep focus in a certain way when things are getting rough, when you really are going against the grain. And I think it's about keeping your focus and what's going on around you. I think those two things put together, grit is like the marathon mindset, and the mental toughness is about the spirit in the moments of stress. In my personal opinion, that's what I think. So science, I believe, kind of like back up the idea that these qualities aren't just an elite for athletes or military heroes. They're learnable, trainable, and a superpower. That's right. Neuroplasticity. I want to just mention that because it's something that I keep reading about, right? And it's where our brains are actually rewiring themselves with practice. That means resilience and persistence can grow, right? And if you think about cognitive behavioral therapy, this is a fancy term for just learning to manage your thoughts. And everybody, if you've listened to this podcast, I always talk about how we think, what we think will actually lead to how we feel, and how we feel will actually lead to our actions, and so on and so forth, right? So I think they call it CBT, right? Cognitive behavioral therapy, right? It's just that word that talks about our thoughts, and you can manage your emotions and your behaviors and how you can do everything like that better. Growth mindset is another thing. So when you talk about your mental toughness and you talk about grit, I can't help but mention growth mindset, because that's all within the same family to me. This is huge. For me, it's huge, because if you believe you can improve, you'll always look forward to moving forward, and you most likely keep trying, right? If things doesn't work, you'll just keep on trying to make things happen, right? Even when it's hard. And sometimes I know in my past, when things got so hard, I might have had to walk away and then come back, and then, oh, wow, I can't believe I got this. That belief alone builds grit over time. So that growth mindset also is in that family and it's part of that grit, right? I don't know. I mean, what do you think? For me, that's what I believe. So grit and mental toughness isn't just about climbing Mount Everest. It's not about doing the hardest things in the world and making it happen and saying it was easy. No, it's not. It's sticking with your personal, professional goals or even non-professional goals, right? Managing your stress and not freaking out during the tough times. Feeling more emotionally balanced, and what? You're probably would be building stronger relationships, personal relationships, professional relationships, because let's face it, real connection takes effort. And that's where that mental toughness and grit comes in, because that means that you're going to deal with all those things. How do you build grit? I mean, you might be asking yourself, how do you build grit, right? What do I care about deeply? I ask myself. What's something that I could stick with even when it's extremely hard? Purpose will give you that grit. If you got a purpose that gives you the passion, and I think it will give you the staying power, because think about something that you really, really like, something that you really enjoy doing. And even though you've come across something that you enjoy doing, and in that enjoyment, you still find challenges, you still find setbacks, you still find things that give you an opportunity to either quit or say, if it wasn't for my passion, I think I'll walk away from this. But being that you're passionate about that one thing, you have staying power. You have the opportunity to keep moving forward. You have that grit. You have that growth mindset, because I got to get through this. That neuroplasticity, right? Our brains can actually rewire themselves with that practice. So grit, that mental toughness, is all part of it, right? I mean, I know that I'm just talking in the air here, but I believe that's what we can do to make things happen, right? I don't know. What do you think? You can hit me up and you can tell me what you think at the last podcast 443@gmail.com. Now, I gotta tell you this, even though we have that mental toughness, that grit, I think you actually have to have your goals that actually stretches you, right? You have whatever your dreams are, whatever your goals are, your ambitions, whatever they might be. If you set your goals, big dreams, into small little wins, then I think that becomes a little manageable, and it helps you with that staying power. It helps you break everything down to a smaller group of successes, where you don't have to look at that big picture. And I think everybody's heard of this term, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. How do you tackle this huge, big goal? One step at a time, right? So I think that's what we have to do. Even when that grit is there, even when we have that mental toughness, we still have to have a framework to keep us moving forward. And even when we feel that things are not going our way, some people say, I failed at this, I failed at that. And I mean, I used to do this a long time ago. Oh, wow, I didn't make it, I failed. But I just found this just another way to look at how what I've tried just didn't work. And that's like what we reframe our failure. Instead of seeing failure as the end, it's a starting point. It's seeing new data. And that's basically how we can look at it. Now we have more data to know how something did not work. And that moves us in another direction to try something new, try something until it does work, right? So what does that failure teach you, right? How to do it differently next time. And that's how we reframe that failure. So, and I look at, this year is really like a monumental year for me, because I'm doing so many new things. I have a lot of different projects, so many new things, and it's easy to say, I'm not good at this. It's easy to say, oh, this doesn't work for me. I refuse to do that. I refuse to say this doesn't work because of this, or might be, some people might even say this doesn't work because of my own shortcomings or my own inability to grasp. No, I believe that we have the ability to continue to learn and do anything that we want in life. It just takes time. So it takes practice. It takes to deliberately practice. You just don't go through the motions. You focus on improving specific parts of your skill set, and you ask for feedback. And then guess what? Growth happens at the edge of your comfort zone, meaning you're out of your comfort zone and you're moving forward. And guess what? So are your skills. They're improving. So in the end, I would also think about how you would stick with it, whatever goal you have in life, just don't give up. That's what we're talking about, staying power, that grit, and that mental toughness, right? You want to stick with whatever it is that you're going through, whatever it is. And I'm talking about goals. I'm talking about things in your life that you're trying to attain, you're trying to achieve. I'm not talking about bad things. I'm talking about good things that'll help you move forward, right? I want you to go ahead and stick with it. Building grit means being okay with the boredom. Building grit, I believe, means okay with setbacks or slow progress or not achieving it fast enough. You got to keep showing up. And that's what it's all about, that mental toughness. You got to stick with it, right? And I think sticking with something until you actually get the hang of it, I think that will provide you with a sense of accomplishment. And that's a good thing. So how do we do this? And when our emotions are all over the place, or when we lack the emotion fortitude to deal with it, and I think you have to take a moment and look at your own mindfulness, your own mindset, and whatever you have to do, whether it's deep breathing or I don't know, maybe it's meditation. You have to find something that works for you. And there are so many opportunities for you to find different little quirks that might work for you. And for me, I could tell you, sometimes when I know that I'm getting so stressed, I have to either work out or I have to take the deep breathing exercises. And I talked about this on one of the other podcasts. Sometimes I have to pause, and sometimes we have to reset. And that might be something that you might have to do to manage your emotions. It's basically to keep your nervous system in check when everything feels overwhelming. And I know you heard this one before. I think for me is like, how do you keep going through all your adversity? I look at where I want to go. I look at where I want to be. I look at at the end of the tunnel, that light. I visualize what I want. And sometimes I find it real hard to visualize anything, but I am visualizing what I want at the end of this tunnel, where I want to go, what I want to do, what I want to achieve. And I have a whole lot. I have a whole lot on my plate that I'm trying to achieve. So I don't know about you, but if you have a lot on your plate, you have a lot that you want to do, you got to learn to manage your emotions. And that's a big, big, big thing. And then you want to talk to yourself like a coach, not a critic. There's a difference, right? You cut out the negative self-talk and replace it with encouraging, honest, and even kind words to yourself. Your inner voice matters more than you think. And let me tell you something. The inner voice will go so negative, so fast, so easy. That's why you have to work on being more encouraging and more honest and more kind with yourself, and not in a negative way. You have to talk to yourself in a positive fashion, even if you got to look in the mirror and do these things, right? And then to make yourself feel uncomfortable, to get used to it, start doing hard things on purpose, right? You could pick anything that's uncomfortable: cold showers, wake up early, and challenging workouts, right? If you go to the gym, or even saying, you know what, I want to lose 30 or 50 pounds, and you're going to have to do something. Stay uncomfortable. Get in the habit of staying uncomfortable until you achieve what you want to achieve, right? And it's all about facing your discomfort, because most of us don't like discomfort. And our brains don't like discomfort. That's why we always try to revert back to old habits, because we like things in a set pattern and we want to stay that way. But you got to break out of it. You got to break out of it. So I don't want to talk your head off today. That's what I have for you today. And if you have any questions, you want to hit me up at The Last Podcast, you can do so at thelastpodcast443@gmail.com. I do have a final thought here. Grit and mental toughness, it's not about being perfect. I want you to understand that. It's about being committed, about bouncing back through your adversity, through your setbacks. It's not about quitting on yourself, but the best part is you can start building your grit and fortitude today. One small decision at a time, one habit at a time. So how will you start? Will you start today, or will you keep giving yourself excuses? Hey, listen, you're listening to The Last Podcast. My name is Dave, and I hope that this was good food for thought for you. And do me a favor, come back Friday. I'll have a brand new poem for you. I thank you so much for listening. Be blessed and have a great day. Bye-bye.